Howdy, and welcome back to the podcast. Today, we have a new guest. We have Miss Abingdon, who is the creator of a beautiful company that we're going to learn a lot about. The trajectory, how it started, everything it was a fun intro story. I got to meet you the other day, and I am looking forward to diving all the way in and learning lots of stuff. So, welcome, Miss Abingdon.
Thank you for having me.
So, what is Abingdon? What is it? How did it start? Okay, let's take me back all the way, I guess. When I remember, we're 22, right?
22 what?
Years old.
I was 22.
Okay.
Yes.
What were you doing at 21? What's going on?
Probably still in college.
Okay. Fair.
I got my degree in psychology and film at UC San Diego, and I didn't care about any of that. I wanted to be a pilot ever since I was a teenager, like young teenager, 13, 14 years old. And so after racking up all that wonderful college debt, I walked onto Santa Monica Airport and said, teach me how to fly. And I interviewed five flight schools, and I got my pilot certificate in about 34 days. And to congratulate myself on this thing that I've been wanting to do forever and ever, I wanted to gift myself a pilot's watch. And the pilot's watches that are out there are beautiful. But what is a pilot's watch? It's a watch that does more than just tell time. It will do your time, speed, and distance calculations. It'll convert currency or standard to the metric system. It'll do fuel consumption. It has multiple time zones. It's got stopwatches, which a stopwatch on a watch is called a chronograph. So if you ever hear me use that term, it's interchangeable. And it's virtually unbreakable. It's a tool watch. But I am 5'6", and I am like 100 pounds at 22, 23 years old. So the pilot's watches that were out there were made for military. They looked like Top Gun. They looked super beefy, and they were weighing me down on my wrists. So I was like, okay, well, where's the women's pilot watches? And then I found out the horrible statistics that women only make up 6% of the aviation industry. And so, of course, what watch company is ever going to make a watch for them? That doesn't make any sense. We're just going to wear the guys. But the guys didn't fit me. So I got together with a group of other women who also flew airplanes, a lot of them much more seasoned than I. And I said, hey, ladies, if I figure out how to make a watch, would you help me design it? And that organization was called the 99s. And it was started by Amelia Earhart and 98 other women back in the early 1900s. So I was just a brand new, fresh member of this group. And they said, yeah, sure, whatever. And did not give me the time of day. I mean, how many 20-year-olds have ideas and they're just fanciful, and, you know, the next day it's something else. And so they were just like, yeah, sure. So immediately I went to Google, started searching, where do I make watches? How do I make watches? Of course, Switzerland comes up, and I look at, are there watches that I can get made in America? Because I don't want to go all the way to Switzerland. I'd rather spend the money on flight training. And I eventually settled on this website called Alibaba.com. And Alibaba.com, and this was like 2005, 2006.
Before it was mainstream.
Before it was like super huge. But it just kept coming up in every Google search. And when you went to the site back then, it was kind of set up like Google.com. There were two search boxes. So you know how like Google has a very clean page when you go to it? Mm-hmm. Alibaba.com was what the item was. You type in what product you want. And then it was a drop down of which country you wanted it made in. That was it. That was all. Very different from what you see today. And so I searched watches, United States, watches, Switzerland, watches, Canada, watches, Mexico, and it was like nothing else. Switzerland, a lot, but I was like, I don't know about that. And then it turned out that you could get incredibly high quality watches made that were on caliber with Swiss made in Japan and Hong Kong, and some of the places that you just didn't even realize were really putting it on the map. But when you think of Citizen Watch, Seiko Watch, these are all watches that come out of Japan, and they're super, super high quality. So I went with Asian manufacturers, and 11 months later, launched the company, and that's how it started. That's how I started making watches. Yeah.
Wildness.
Yeah, total.
So I don't even know where to start. I mean, you went through 11 months fairly rapidly.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
But I know that in that process, it must have been like, how do you identify
What to do?
the style, the what to do, like for the entrepreneur that maybe is listening, they don't know where to start. Like, what was your process, and then how did you know this is my brand? Like, this is what I want to do, because your branding is just so gorgeous. I mean,
Thank you.
Lord,
Thank you.
So how did you get? I know they probably didn't start there, but
No.
like. Now it's gorgeous. All the work that you've put in has made it that way. So how did it start?
So, like the old ransom letters where people would like cut out letters from a magazine and like paste them onto a page, and you get that and you're like, give me $1 million.
Yeah.
That's how my first watch designs looked. So I was cutting out pictures of different watches from magazines. I was like, I like the color here and the band here.
That's
and this.
so fun.
Oh, it's so funny. And I would send that information. I kind of vetted probably about a dozen different manufacturers, and some of them had in-house design teams. So they were like, okay, yeah, we kind of know what you want to do. Let's put some designs together. And so they would send me some designs, and I'd be like, I don't know about that. And if it kind of passed my sniff test, then I would take it to my girls, to the women that was helping me design it. They have so much more experience. I just had a private pilot rating. I was now working on my instrument rating, so I was going to the next pilot certificate, but I was still like less than 100 hours. I didn't know anything. And so they were like, yeah, I think this would be too hard to read if we were in the flight deck or the cockpit, or, if it was a jet or a small airplane, or, that date window is like really hard to read. Can you put a magnifier on it, or can you make it larger? So there were a lot of just different feedback that I was getting from these women. And so after we would get renderings, that's kind of how we settled on the initial 2 watches. And the first watch was a combination of the first 2. I could not make it. What I mean by that is I was planning on coming out with 1 watch, and it was going to have everything. It was going to cook you dinner. Like, it was going to have GMT, so Greenwich Mean Time, which is what all pilots use when they're flying. It was going to have a stopwatch in it, chronograph. It was going to have the whiz roll, like the flight computer that is like the internal bezel that turns and does all these calculations for you. It was going to glow in the dark. It was going to have just all of it. It was going to be blah. But little did I know that would be like an inch thick, It's just like, so the manufacturer that I was working with, they were like, you can't put all this, unless you want to R&D some insane movement that does all of those things, you're going to have to go with something off the shelf and then put your design around it. And if you want all that stuff in it, that's like non-existent. So why don't you split it into 2? Why don't you do a stopwatch and you do a GMT? And then that way you can have 2 different designs. Like, you can have like your fancy one, and then you can have kind of your more everyday beater watch. And so that way it'll help for your customer base, because not everybody is going to want diamonds around the bezel and a pearl dial, and not everybody is going to want just a plain Jane white dial, black dial on a leather strap. So this way you kind of get to appease both groups. And I was like, that has some sense to it. So I took that idea, brought it to my women who were helping me design, and they said, yeah, this is where we're talking here. This is how we go. And so it was fine-tuning. Once we split our initial watch into 2, that's how the brand started to get built.
So you start with 2 watches. Mm-hmm. How many do you order initially? How do you know? And because you're like, yes, you were the target market, right? Yeah. And then you did your market surveys.
God, no.
Organically, it sounds like you're asking the ladies.
I just had this small group. That was my research.
That's perfect.
Group.
That's still technically market survey, right? And so you're asking the questions, and they have more experience in that space, so they can provide. And it's also also women, so they fit a lot of the same targets. Yeah. And then now you have 2. Now I gotta.
Now I got to figure out
how many? Does everybody else want this? Like,
yeah, I know. I had no idea. And so the nice thing was, I don't know why my manufacturer was even spending their time with this 23-year-old young pilot student out of California, but he and I would have long conversations at 11 o'clock at night, because that was the best time for the both of us. And so he's like, I get that this is like a first thing for you. I understand that. I want to help you grow, because what you're doing is actually really cool. And I said, I think this will work. Like I want one. And I know there's like 6 other women who want them. So it will at least sell 7. and so maybe we should figure out how best. And so those 2 styles, the fancy style with the diamonds and the pearl and called the Jackie model. And then the other style is the Amelia model. And that was like a white and black dial with a leather band. Because there were 3 versions of Jackie, came in a pink pearl, a white pearl, and a green pearl. And then there were 2 versions of Amelia, a white and a black. There's 5 total SKUs to start with. So I just said 100 of each, 500. Yeah. I was like, let's go. And there is a minimum order that you have to put down. And it typically is, depending on the supplier, 300 or 500. So
they were nice enough to not do 300 or 500 per SKU.
Correct.
It's usually per SKU.
It is typically per SKU. Well, so they consider colors part of the same SKU. So really? I could have done like maybe 150 white Amelia and 150 black Amelia. Could have done that way. But no, I just did 100 of each. So I had 500 to start with. And yeah, it took a couple years to sell 500 watches. Absolutely. The worst part, Ben, but the worst part was the packaging. So I can't just like ship a watch to you in a bubble bag, I mean,
you could.
I could.
Wouldn't look very good. But
Patek Philippe does that. But
do they really?
Yeah, there's a model. 100%. Yeah, totally. Yeah, go look into it. It's hilarious. It's either them or IWC. One of the 2, like, will bubble wrap and send it to you. Mm-hmm. No, we're not that cool yet. So we still put them in a watch box. But the box manufacturers are different than the watch manufacturers. So looking at the packaging, it was a 3,000 MOQ for a watch box. And I didn't know that you could negotiate that. Now, I'm 19 years in. I negotiate the junk out of everything. But at the time, I was like, oh, okay, well, they're only, packaging is very inexpensive. So 3,000 watch boxes with shipping and everything came out to like $5,000 total. So in the scheme of launching my company with the $40,000 that I was trying to launch it with, $5,000 was a smaller amount. Most of it, obviously, was in the watch production. And I ended up throwing more boxes away because, of course, they were cardboard or cardboard based. Yeah. And it just was like, it took me probably, 6 or 7 years to get through those 3,000 boxes. And a lot of them, it was like the glue started to show through, and I would, years in, and I'm like, why am I still using this box? And it had that beautiful little leather pillow that you wrap the watch around. I was taking the leatherette off of it, tossing that in the trash because it had just disintegrated, and using it as a sponge, like the pillow part as a sponge for my dishes.
Oh
yeah,
my
like
Lord.
you just go through. You're just like, what am I
have so many of these.
I have so many of these. They're all in my friend's hanger. I need to get them out. Yeah. So, I've gone through several versions of packaging, and now I'm very happy with our packaging. And if I ever go to a new supplier, the conversation goes something like, hey, we've never worked together before, and I really do want to establish a very long-term relationship, so I'm going to do this first order at an incredibly small, well below your MOQ, but if everything goes well, we communicate well, we work together well, I'm going to send you the money early, you're going to give me everything on time, it all works out well, then I can tell you that my 500-piece order today is going to be a 5,000-piece order on the second one. And usually when you have that kind of conversation, then they're like, all right, yeah, we could do that. So we'll bite the bullet a little bit. They would normally never do a 500-piece order today. But when you phrase it like that, and when they look at the fact that I've been in business for so long and I'm well known in the watch industry now, it's like, oh, okay, they are a legit company.
You have a little bit more buying
Clout.
power.
Yeah, I have a little bit more clout.
Yeah. Whenever you first start, you are at the whim of the manufacturer.
100%.
And now you're like, well, now I can take this 5,000 order to somewhere else.
Yeah.
I don't need you, really.
Totally.
Ultimately, like, you find somebody you trust and you like, and that relationship itself is valuable. But you can find those.
Yeah.
How did you? So did you end up having to fly to Japan and
Never.
like do testing? Like no.
No, I didn't for years, probably a decade. Yeah. Which is like, people are like, huh? Like, no, you Zoom, email, FaceTime calls, like all those things. Like you can do all of this without leaving your house. Like this isn't, does it help? Yes. Now I go to Asia at least 3 times a year. I go to Europe a couple times a year. I visit my suppliers in both continents, and it is incredibly helpful. Not just to have the FaceTime, but also to see new product, to see what is potential for expansion in my brand. So I do visit now, but not for the first decade. I didn't.
That's wild. So you kind
A
of
lot
already
of trust.
a lot of trust,
Yeah,
a lot of trust. You already kind of touched on it, but I'm going to ask again, just in case it's a different answer. What would you say? Like, how do you select manufacturers now versus how you selected manufacturer at the very beginning?
It honestly hasn't changed. So I need to know if it's not an English-speaking country, how good is the communication? Because I could be talking about a change that I want to make, and if they're not understanding exactly what I'm saying, because a lot of times when you're creating something from nothing, it's a lot of arrows and circles and drawing, and you're trying to explain what you want to see, but without it ever existing yet. So having a language barrier is very difficult to get what you need to happen. So good English speaking, timely responses. There's time changes between both Europe and Asia. So if I send an email and I don't get a response for 24 hours, that's just way too much back and forth, because then I get that response, I send an immediate reply, and then I have to wait another 24 hours. No, that's not how I like to work. The other thing is every country has a Better Business Bureau. So they nowadays, again, because I have that buying power and that clout, I can ask, and I have asked suppliers, I will keep your information secret, but I want to know who else you're supplying for. And they will tell me. Now, I've signed documents to not share who they supply for, but if they're supplying for quality brands that I know make a good quality product, then I know I'm in good hands if I'm looking for a new supplier. But that Better Business Bureau, checking them out, seeing the references, I tell people it's like dating. You know, when you don't marry somebody on the first date, right? At least you shouldn't. And I don't know. Maybe
Hey, Vegas, you know.
I know it is. That's true. Sorry, Brittany. But
Brittany's watching. She knows.
But typically you meet their friends, you meet their family, you make sure they have a job, you make sure that they take a shower, you know, every day, or like whatever every other day. Yeah, you know. But you do want to kind of swim with them for a little bit before you start diving. And so with a supplier, I'm doing the same thing. I'm asking, who are the people that you're supplying for? I want to talk to them. I want to see how your relationship is with them. I want to see how your relationship with the suppliers that you use, because there's no supplier in the world, for at least for watches, maybe other products it's like this, but for watches, there are a minimum of at least 4 supply houses that touch every single watch that ends up on our wrists. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Because you have the movement maker, which is the engine inside the watch. You've got the dials, which typically all come out of Taiwan, and they're amazing at making dials. You have the hands. There's only 5 hands manufacturers in the world. Yeah. Uh-huh.
What?
Yeah, totally. And then you have the case and the crystal and all of that, and you've got the band. And strap manufacturing is completely different than everything in the case, the watch case. So especially if you're dealing with silicone, or you're dealing with rubber, or you're dealing with even leather. So then what tanneries are they using? Who's supplying all of that? Like it is insane how many hands handle a watch before it ends up on your wrist. It's at least 24.
It's amazing. I don't know about this one, but yours.
No, definitely. Even that one. Even your Apple Watch. Absolutely. Yeah.
I guess there's enough hardware inside of it that it has to go through enough people.
100%. Yeah. And the strap, the case, even what makes the knob on the side, that crystal comes out of a manufacturer that is going to be different than where your strap comes from. So, and I could probably tell you, I know what the best 3 strap manufacturers for Apple Watches are. I've met them, talked to them.
What are they? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Fair. Sure.
Come to the Hong Kong Watch Clock Fair with me, and I'll
Hong
introduce you
Kong
to them.
Watch Clock Fair?
Yeah.
Where is that? In Hong Kong?
It is.
Hell yeah.
Kowloon.
I want to go to Hong Kong.
Come on.
I went to Hong Kong last year.
Yeah? For what?
Vacation. The best. So
What time of year did you go?
May?
Okay.
April, something like that.
Okay.
We stayed at the Ritz
Oh, yeah.
on the other side, and it was
Amazing.
absolutely outstanding.
I love their little restaurant in the foyer. Like that whole, it's beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Just looks like something out of yesteryear.
It's so amazing. But when are you going? When's the
The Hong Kong Watch Clock Fair is in October every year.
in October?
So,
Gotta add it to the list.
come on by.
Okay.
You don't need a visa for Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Let's go.
I get my my suit maker lives in Hong Kong as well.
Suit?
Yeah. I get custom
Sam?
suits. No, I don't use Sam.
Okay.
I went to Sam and I didn't.
You didn't like it? I have a suit made by Sam.
Yeah,
It's a nice suit.
I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy my experience.
He's pretty intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the very either way. So I forgot his name is his last name is Chan. It's like right next door to Sam. And I remember whatever British
Sweet.
whatever.
Introduce me.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love getting my suits made.
He's
there.
fantastic. He's
Okay.
the best. I'll introduce you. So what was the first hard part that you like, oh my God, do I want to do this? Or why did I do this? Like the first step back and think about why.
I think when it really started to grow was about year 2. And I ended up getting a lot of media coverage in the first year. I launched in November of 2007. And then March of 2008, a great thing happened and a horrible thing happened. One, it was the beginning of the recession, so the entire economy was failing. But the Women in Aviation Conference was happening, and it was in San Diego. And the organizers, the company, well, the nonprofit, it's a nonprofit org, they called me and said, hey, we read this article about you in General Aviation News that you started this watch company and you're out of Southern California. We have this conference happening in a month. Would you like to go and exhibit? And I was like, I think I can make it down to San Diego. It's only 2 hours away. Sure. And so we went down and I ended up selling a lot more than I expected. And the funny, this is it's so back in the day. I took a giant printer to print off receipts, So I had it was
That's hilarious.
it's amazing. And I had just this fold out table with a white tablecloth on it. It was one of those HP, those massive big guys that you gotta have trays. So
hilarious.
yeah, it was so funny. And yeah, so I had the WordPress website and I had to process the order there and it was just the watches were out on the table in their little white boxes that I had 3,000 of back in Santa Monica. And it was it wasn't even a display on the table. It was if you want that watch, that is going to be your watch. Let me hand that to you. So, and there was one woman, Donna Hendrickson. She still has her watch, but she bought it that year and she's from New York. She had me sign the box. And she was like, you're the designer. I want you to sign it. And she's a very thick New York accent. And I was like, absolutely, this is cool.
That's so cool.
And she still wears her watch today. And she's got 2 others, but she had just been building her hours and now she flies at a major airline. So it is so cool to see, she's probably one of my oldest customers who still, I see her at air shows. She comes up. I'm like, how's your Jackie watch? We have the same watch, her and I. And she's like, I love it. Absolutely. I have the others, but I wear this one. This is my watch.
Wow.
And I'm like, yes. So
an heirloom almost.
It kind of, yeah. You should probably be buried with it. I'll be buried with mine. It's just one of those things. But what I think was the point to your question of when it got hard was all of that media started to happen, and I realized I really want to be a pilot. And so now I'm running a company. Now I'm e-commerce. I have to have a website. There was one article that said that I named the Jackie watch after Jackie Cochran and the Amelia watch after Amelia Earhart, which was not true. And because that article printed And we had like a press page on our website where it was like a JPEG of pictures of magazine articles that we would just post up on the site. Because we posted it on our website, I got a cease and desist from the Amelia Earhart Foundation, wanting to know all my sales, wanting to know like everything. And you're going to write us a big old check because you're using her name in commerce and all of this stuff. And I was like, okay, this is where things get real.
Oh.
And and that was only like 2 years in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we settled, we were fine, but, and I've never named a watch after a person. All the watches have names. I'm wearing an Amelia here and a Jackie or a Jane on this wrist, but I've never named them after a human being. So that is something that I'm very, very adamant about making sure people know. But it was something that even the media, when they are interviewing me and I'm saying it, they just write it down wrong or they print it wrong or it didn't go through the, checks and balances. So those are, some people call them growing pains. Some people call them business challenges. I just call them rude awakenings. That's really what they are.
Definitely make you wake up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then,
be 25 and get a cease and desist from the Amelia Earhart Foundation. 100%.
So you wake up, you have this thing. Why'd you continue? Like, why'd you move forward after that? Like, you still want to fly.
I know.
Why'd you keep on building?
Well, I kind of was thinking, okay, I could do both.
Okay.
So if I worked with like a 3PL, third party logistic, had them shipping out things, then I could go fly. And I was still getting my ratings. I was still building my hours. I had a wonderful job with Cirrus Aircraft where I was a demo pilot. After that, I moved over to a company called Lance Air. They make experimental airplanes. So I was building airplanes and flying them, going to air shows, having a blast, selling them. And then my next rating was my flight instructor rating. Started ferrying airplanes, and I would deliver planes all over the world, and that was a blast. So I'm a unique pilot in that I have time in a lot of airplanes. Most pilots, they have time in the airplanes they trained in, and then the first plane that they got a job in. And so they maybe have 7 airplanes total in their logbook. I have 97. And it's everything from like a little J3 Cub that's like fabric wrapped to a 747. So there's a huge span of aircraft that I've been able to fly. And I love that.
Yeah.
So, but I also did the airlines for a while. I was flying in the Caribbean with Seaborne Airlines for a while, flying sobs around island hopping, and I was just trying to create this balance of like flying and running the company, because I really did. I wanted that flying, but it got to a point where I just needed to make the decision. And at that stage, I had thousands of customers all around the world. And the biggest thing I was thinking is, if I shut my company down, who's going to service their watches? Who's going to change the batteries? Who's going to get them cleaned up? I had customers who had gotten into car crashes, airplane crashes. They were in the military. They, just did hardcore stuff with their watches, and they just abused them. So you need to get them re-water certified. You need to get the, gaskets. You need to get the grit and the grime and the scratch off. You need to just like buff out the road rash. There's a watch is a wearable. So you have to, you're not going to treat it as dainty as you might treat that $50,000 piece that you bought, as a gift to yourself. You're going to wear it in the field. And if I shut my store down, then how would I be able to service them? So I really, it's my customers that keep me employed, but it's also my customers that keep me up at night, and it's my customers who are the reason I get out of bed in the morning. It's all of it. And so that's the decision I made, and I'm sticking with it.
And since you made that decision, so that's what, 2-3 years in? Or no, you were flying for a little bit. It took a little while to get to that point, but 10 years ago ish.
I think it was around. So 2007, I launched the company. 2014, I was on Shark Tank, and that's where things started to really like go big. 2016 was when I started flying sobs in the Caribbean. So it was all kind of in that 14 to 17 time frame that it was just like 2 full-time jobs. And I finally was like, all right, we need to do this. And then of course with COVID, that's a big deal for a lot of businesses. And flying, for the most part, stopped everywhere. And so I buckled down and got online and where everybody else was and stopped. I couldn't do trade shows. I couldn't do air shows, dive shows. None of those were happening anymore. And so I took all that budget of going to air shows and everything, and then I just applied it to digital marketing. And that was a game changer.
Like, how much of a game changer are we talking? Like, what did you learn in that? I assume there's a lot of A/B testing, a lot of
oh yeah,
a lot of learning of even like the design of even the product or what do people want. So like, what was the biggest thing that I think was it creating new watches entirely and scrapping the old ones? Like, what'd you learn? People love this?
Yeah. So I'm gonna laugh. You're gonna laugh when I tell you what it was, but it was Clubhouse.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Nice.
Were you on Clubhouse?
Uh-huh.
All of us were, right? And then it all went away.
Yeah, it just died. Yeah, 100%.
100% died.
Yeah.
But when I was on Clubhouse, I ended up in all of these rooms talking to people that I would have never had access to. And I've got no problem talking, right? Never had that fear of public speaking. I've always been comfortable just taking the stage. That's fine. And so in Clubhouse, when you would be brought up on stage and then you would maybe say 1 or 2 things and then you would introduce who your company is and of course you'd build out your bio so people would click on your name and then see all your stuff. And I was going into all these entrepreneurial rooms and all the watch rooms as well. And a lot of the watch industry started to learn who I was. They had no idea that I had this brand because I wasn't catering to the watch industry. I was catering to women who were flying airplanes. They're not the watch industry. So they would look at my website and be like, holy, how long have you been around? And the watch industry started to recognize, oh my gosh, there's actually a company that's making watches for women. And it's not just Pinkett and Trinket. It's not just diamonds, and it's these are purpose-built. These have tactical functions. These have hardcore stuff, sapphire crystals. They're water resistant to 660 feet. You don't find that on a women's watch. You find that on men's watches. And yet they're beautiful. So it was kind of shocking to the watch world that 1, there was a company they didn't know about. And 2, there was a company that was being made for catering to women. And 3, that I'd been around since 2007. Because the whole microbrand independent watch world really started to flourish in 2015. And I already had 8 years behind me. So I was just like, cool, guys, catch up. But I love that you guys are doing what you're doing. I'm just going to keep on doing what I'm doing because this is where my girls are. And this is where we all hang out. And so that was one thing that I ended up getting invited to a lot of once COVID kind of settled down, we could all start coming out of the house again, to different watch events, like the Wind Up Watch Show and some of these more industry level shows that were watch specific. And I remember there's an interview with a company called Worn and Wound. They host the Wind Up Watch Fair. And it was in New York in 2022. And the guy, he's like the face of the brand on YouTube and on their podcast. And he's like, how have I never heard of you? I consider myself to be pretty well versed in the watch world, but I don't know who you are. And I'm like, well, you're not my customer, so I'm kind of glad you don't know who I am. And so he was like, that's a fair point. So tell me everything you do. So that was one big thing. The other thing in Clubhouse was the entrepreneurial rooms. There's 2 people on my board of advisors right now that I met in Clubhouse.
No way.
Yeah.
Wild.
And one of them, Julie, she used to be the chief marketing officer for Walmart. She knows everything about big box retail, and she's huge in SaaS company investments. And she's one of the most sound voices in business I have ever had the opportunity, the privilege to listen and learn from. And I would just listen to her in these rooms, and she was just speaking so much sense that I just started kind of DMing her on the back channels and just saying, God, she's like, I love what you're doing. And then you had, I can't believe I'm blanking on her name right now, but Dragon's Den up in Canada, the Shark Tank up there, one of the dragons, I was talking with her. She ended up buying a watch from me and just kind of like giving me some loose advice, just kind of on the side of like things I should look at doing to help build my brand. And one of the biggest things was you mentioned it earlier, that my brand, just the brand identity is really tight. It's really good. Well, I met somebody in Clubhouse that introduced me to a guy named Frank who rebrands companies. And what he did, he and I worked for about 8 months together during COVID, about end of 2020, beginning of 2021. And we redesigned the logo, the entire color palette. He did a deep dive. He called some of my customers, asked them how the brand made them feel, took that and then created the entire typography, created the entire like photography, just the entire brand Bible of a company. I never had any of that. So working with him, that was like the best $30,000 I've ever spent. Like a lot of people talk about, oh, we spent so much money on a new logo or whatever. And it's like, no, if you get something that really dials in your company, if you look at the company prior to COVID and you see that Airplane A logo and like the light baby blue and all that stuff. I mean, when he told me, what do you think of red? I was like, oh my God, no, fire alarms. Like that red is a horrible color in aviation and diving and all these things. And he's like, red means power. And he said, what do you think blue means? And I was like, calm, peace, trust. It is the favorite color of most female pilots. And he's like, yeah, it also means softness, weakness. And he's like, there's nothing soft or weak about your brand. So we're going to keep blue, but we're going to have dark blues. We're going to use reds. We're going to use browns and greens. And the way he came up with our color palette is he said that because our color palette is 2 reds. There's like an orange red and then a deep red. There's a green, a brown, and then 3 shades of blue. And one of them is the original baby blue that was in the company. I kind of asked to build the palette around our original just to keep the cohesiveness of the history. But he said, your palette reflects the environments that your crew members operate in. And then it also has the fire that burns within them. That's the reds. And when you look at the palette and you think, oh, damn, like this is land, air, and sea. This is where it's so much more than pilots' watches now. Now it's we say we're watches for women who do more. He came up with that. We came up with that, but he came up with that, you know. And when you say watches for women who do more, that could be everything from a single mom who's going back for a degree to I'm working with, I think I can say this, I'm working with Dr. Sian Proctor, one of the astronauts, and who went on Inspiration. And she and I are designing a space watch together. So it's like, it's all of it. And it's bitchin'. It's really fun.
It's bitchin'.
It's bitchin'.
What a way to close out that statement. It's bitchin'. Hell yeah, it is. Oh my God. That was very well said, for one. What a wild opportunity. You know, luck is there's a saying around luck. Those who get lucky also happen to work hard or something.
Opportunity meets preparation.
Opportunity meets preparation, right? And so
that's the way I've heard it defined.
And so it's, what is the chance that Clubhouse happens? You know, like all these things, and you happen to meet all these people, and then, but you had been doing the work for years in advance, and then.
And I got ripped to shred on Clubhouse. Like people would be like, "Oh, you're Instagram this, or you're this, or whatever." Like and I'm like, "Girl, I don't got no time for freaking Instagram posting and Facebook posting and being here in Clubhouse and trying to fulfill orders and this and." I mean, there are when you run your own company and you haven't yet, like I think we were probably about 3 people at that point, and I've always tried to keep it small because it's just too many cooks in the kitchen when you're growing at a super. So I never wanted to do that. I always wanted to keep it very intimate and know that when you're when you're talking to somebody, you're talking to somebody who's been there for a long time. And my oldest employee is over 10 years. And so it was rough. It was hard lessons on Clubhouse with some of the people. And honestly, some of the people were they're just crap out of their mouth. There was that too. And so my mother always said, you got to look at the source of who's telling you the information. If somebody is giving you financial advice and they've declared bankruptcy 3 times, maybe toss that advice out the window, So a lot of these folks that were just like saying things just to say things, I was like, okay, fine. But when I was listening to the Julies, when I was listening to the Arnett's, when I was listening to the Bryans, like the people that were really talking a lot of sense that I was learning from, not when they were talking to me necessarily, even just when they were talking. That was where the change started to happen, the shift. Because I could have easily just kept banging down the door that I was hitting already. But no, this is an opportunity where I get access to, I was in the rooms where Paris Hilton was. I was in the rooms where Kevin O'Leary and I talked, and he remembered me from being on Shark Tank a few years prior. And so like you just had access, which if you took advantage of it during COVID, good on you.
Yeah.
And if you didn't and you went and did something else, I hope that it was, beneficial. Yeah.
What's your favorite watch?
What's my favorite watch?
2 different questions.
Okay.
3, maybe even 4. I don't know. So I asked lots of questions. So what is your favorite? Also, before that one, sorry, do you still have any of the boxes left?
The original?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Do you really?
Yeah.
That's cool. And then your favorite of your designs?
Jackie and Seaplane Green, always.
Beautiful. And then a dream watch.
That isn't my own.
That isn't your own.
Von Cleef and Arpels, Lady Fairy.
And your favorite in your entire collection, outside of your own.
Oh, man, the Jackie and Seaplane Green is totally my favorite. It's been my favorite since day one. I still wear the prototype. It's my jam. If you ever see a photograph, like a corporate shot of me, then I'm probably wearing my Jackie watch, the Seaplane Green. Yeah. That's always
I have to look.
my favorite.
I have to look at this seaplane. I have to, because so you're wearing.
I'm wearing 2 different watches today.
So we have on. What are the differences between these 2 watches?
So on my right wrist is the Amelia. This was the 10-year anniversary watch. So it comes in a 24 karat gold. It has a white dial. It's a GMT, and it has that flight computer that I would be using when I would fly. Glows in the dark, rated to 330 feet. It's just a beautiful watch. And then on my left wrist is the Jane. Jane is the first watch that we introduced when we started selling to the Army Air Force Exchange. So it was our first military watch. This one here is an Outlaw, and it kind of reminds me of like the Wild Wild West, so to speak. So like an Outlaw.
I like that watch.
And this watch is great. It has a compass on the inside of it, so you can use this watch to find your cardinal directions just with the sun. And we have like YouTube videos and TikTok videos about that. It has a day-date 3-hand movement, so this is a 4-hand movement. This movement, though, is made in Phoenix. It's an American movement. So when you talk about movements, the engines of watches, they always say like, oh, Swiss movement is like the best. And then Japanese movement is really good. Well, there is a company in Arizona that is making American movements. And so I have that in this watch. So there's only like a handful of brands in the country that use American movements from this company in Phoenix. And they're called FTS. And I really like this movement. And they made it small enough that I can fit it in a 35 millimeter case. But one of the cool things is on the back of the leather strap is a ruler as well. So if you take the watch off, then you have a full 9-inch ruler and going down the back side of it. So it's very function heavy. And there's a reason. I mean, we made it for the military. So you've also got military time on it. You have the diver's bezel on the outside, the compass, the day date, glows in the dark, and then this one is rated to 660 feet. So yeah, it'll survive before you do. Yeah.
If my wife doesn't, what's it called, fly. Mm-hmm. Or she works out. We talked about something you mentioned then. I thought was really I was like, man, what a good follow up. She's maybe in the clinic or she's in the gym. What options are there, if any?
Well, every watch that kind of depends on what she would use it for. So the biggest thing, like my number one customer is a hairdresser, followed by a nurse. So if you think about it, they use their hands a lot. They're constantly like washing their hands or getting solvents, conditioners, unfortunate things if you're a nurse on your hands, on yourself, and you're just constantly sterilizing yourself. So usually watches that are small enough for a woman's wrist are breaking within a year. And when you're using hot water and cold water and this and that, and you're just beating it. So if you're beating the crap out of your watch, I mean, a lot of people, they'll wear like silicone rings and they just don't want to destroy their actual jewelry. It's the same thing. So yeah, nurses and hairdressers are my number one and number two customer. And they buy the watches that just fit their style. And because if you look at the Amelia, like this is like a kind of a showstopper. It's very beautiful.
Very pretty.
But if you look at this one, it's a little bit more maybe rugged. You could wear it with like jeans and a shirt, something like that. And so it kind of is like whatever fits your style. Now, I have done something where all of my watches have interchangeable straps where you don't need tools to take off the strap.
That's your camera right there.
Okay, so there you go. So that is like the easiest thing to do. I didn't bring any tools with me, but if I wanted to put a leather strap, a silicone strap, when I fly with a silicone strap because when I'm pre-flighting the airplane, I don't want the metal to scratch the paint when I'm walking around the plane. So I'll just put a silicone strap on this watch. And then when I'm done with that and I'm going back out, I'll just put my metal strap back on. So it's versatility that allows for you to find something that fits you. So that's what I would say for your wife is like, depending on how she was going to use it, just build what you want, Yeah,
I remember you also told me about, and so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I can attach that to...
Oh, a carabiner. Yeah.
A carabiner.
Yeah, because we have a lot of mechanics that wear these, and they don't wear anything on their wrists.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But they want the chronograph because they're timing compressions. So that is 100%. Yeah, if you take the strap off and you fit it into the carabiner, that it's like a little leather, almost like a leather slip-in pouch, and you clip it to your belt loop on your coveralls, on your jeans, or whatever you're wearing, then you don't even need it on your watch. On your wrist.
It reminds me of a watch that opens a pocket watch, like a
pocket
classic,
watch.
like a very classic pocket watch.
Absolutely.
But with an open face and it's leather instead.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's fun. Mm-hmm. Just because you mentioned Kevin O'Leary, and not that we need Kevin's approval for anything, but what did he say about the watches?
So this was in season 6. So if you can, find the footage from way back when, it was a minute ago. He was the only one who gave me an offer. And his offer was to get all my inventory together because it's watches. It's small. It doesn't take up a lot of space. Fly out to one of his brownstones out on the East Coast. And then we were going to crack open a couple bottles of wine and burn all my inventory and then start a new business. That was what his offer was. I countered and said, why don't you come out to Las Vegas and we'll go flying. I like to keep the doors off because it's really nice and warm in Vegas and off the airplane. And I do have a tendency to do aerobatics because I really like to have fun in planes, but I only have one parachute. So don't worry though, the seatbelts work. It's only a 1974 airplane, so it'll be fine. And he did not accept my counter offer. No, he laughed, but he did not accept it.
You gotta laugh.
Yeah.
Now, looking back on that, are you kind of like a little?
It's great because I still own all the equity in my company. I do have some investors in my company that are customers who ask, like, we love what you're doing. Can we throw some money into this and have a little piece of it? Absolutely. So I own 94% of my company, and then the other 6 is with a few of my customers. So it's so nice to, like, not only have they purchased watches from me and purchased multiple, but then they're writing me a check, and they're now somebody I have to declare whenever I file my taxes. So it's very, very cool to still own everything. Now, that is not something that I want to hold on to. Everybody always says, well, what's your exit? And if you want to own an island that nobody comes to, is that really going to be anything? Or do you want to own, 10% of a behemoth and you're going to be a bazillionaire versus 100% of a grain of salt? And so we are in a phase right now where we are expanding the business we're doing pretty well on the brand. So the brand is dialed in. The next stage is starting a watch school, a watchmaking tech program here.
I saw a clip of that on your Instagram, I think.
Yeah, in Las Vegas. And the biggest bottleneck right now at my company is I'm the watchmaker right now. And 19 years in, I know how to make one of my watches in 15 minutes blindfolded. Like, I can do it. But that's not where I need to spend my time. So finding watchmakers is the hardest part of my company right now. And there's the Bureau of Labor Statistics has published, and so has the American Watchmaker Clockmaker Institute in Ohio. They've also said something similar, that for every 10 watchmakers that retire, most of the watchmakers are in their 50s and 60s. So they're either at or approaching or beyond retirement. Only 1 comes into the market. And when you look at how many watch schools there are in the country, watchmaking schools, there's one in Seattle, there's one in Dallas, sponsored by Rolex. So you're learning Rolex. They pay for it as well, but then you only know how to work on Rolex. You don't know how to work on any other brands. And then, of course, they're going to hire you because they just trained you. So great. If you want to go support a Swiss company, have at. Go do the Rolex school. But that's in Texas. And then you've got Ohio, the American Watchmaker Clockmaker Institute. And then the rest of them are all on the East Coast. Nothing exists in the Southwest. So I looked at it. I looked at also what are U.S. watch sales. And now that I'm 19 years in and I actually know how to do market research, unlike when I was 23 starting this company, I looked at in 2024, just a couple of years ago, U.S. watch sales was over $24 billion, just the U.S. And that's everything from a smartwatch to Richard Mille, the Pateks, the IWCs, the luxuries, the micro brands. It's the entire industry, $24 billion. It is expected to raise to over $34 billion by 2033, meaning more people are buying watches. More people are wearing watches. Yes, was a wearable a thing like a smartwatch, a Fitbit? Sure. Did that get you off of wearing an analog for a few years? It did. But people are coming back in strides because they don't want to be so connected all the time. And so they're kind of sunsetting the Apple Watch, or maybe only having it at work, or, just trying to, but if they're going out to a nice dinner, if they're taking their wife on a date, or they're going to impress like an investor group, or they're applying for a new job, you don't want that thing dinging in a job interview. So you set that one aside, you put the nice analog on. And so more people are buying watches. But if you have 10 watchmakers retiring and only 1 entering the market,
there's a need.
How are you going to get your watches serviced when it comes to? And if you try now, and I'm sure anybody who's listening to this, who just recently had like a watch repair done or something, it took 6 months. And it's insane that it should take that long. I mean, if it's a simple battery change, hopefully they can go get that done. Fine. But on our YouTube channel, I teach people how to do battery changes. Like, I used to do them with the Leatherman. I would open up my case back with the Leatherman. I scratched the crap out of the back of my watch. But I recommend do not use a Leatherman. Go buy a kit on Amazon. It's really easy. But
and really cheap.
Really cheap. I know, I should have done that. But changing a battery is not rocket science. And as long as you wash your hands, as long as you don't touch anything inside the watch with your fingers, like put the little cotton, or not cotton, but the little finger condoms like on your fingers, and you don't want to squeeze a battery with metal pliers because you short it. There's a positive and a negative side on that little cell battery. But they sell wooden tweezers. They sell, even if you picked it up with your fingers, as long as they were covered in those things, and just put the battery in, it's not going to. You're not going to do it. And the nice thing too about a watch is if you do break it, everything's fixable. It's a watch. It's mechanical. We're fine. Yeah. So I'm very, very big on just educating people on doing their own light repair. But if you needed to get anything fixed, like a cracked crystal, or you dropped it and the hands, came off their pivot point, you're waiting a minimum of 6 months.
Damn.
Yeah.
So
that's harsh.
How do you get certified to be a watchmaking school? Or a watchmaker, and then how many?
Yeah, there's different certifications, and they have a whole bunch of different names and governing bodies in the watch industry. I'm not about that life. I am more about let's get you the skill set and get you a paycheck. So because right now I have 0 watchmakers in my company other than myself, we have turned off repair. Anything in warranty, we still take care of. And luckily, I make a really high quality product, so we don't have many warranty issues coming in. I can usually handle them in a day. And so what we're going to do is we're going to build a watch tech program that will train somebody in a particular part of the watchmaking scope. So, for example, the first thing you do when you build a watch is you take the movement, you take the dial, you put them together. And then once you've done that, then you put the hands on. And once you've done the hands, then you put it into the case. Once you close up the case around the whole thing, then you insert the crown and the stem. If everything works great, then you water pressure it. And if that tests well, then you put the strap on the back. It's about 7 steps to building a watch. It's not rocket science.
No.
So I can teach you that in less than 2 months. And so that's what we're going to be doing. It's a tech program. It's a skilled trades program. And then once you go through our training, then you're going to start building them. And we're going to have you building watches here in Vegas. So that's it. It's 0 to hero. It's a complete pipeline of we are going to get you the training. We are looking at state sponsorships and grants because the school will be underneath a nonprofit. And then once you have, so hopefully you won't have to pay for training. That's kind of the goal there. I don't want you to have to pay for it. I want to give you that skill set, but I do want you to work for us. So there's a beautiful example how Lufthansa gets their pilots. And a lot of my, the way I want to set this all up is all based off of what I know in the aviation industry. Yeah. And it was the craziest way, Ben, how I figured out how Lufthansa does this. I was flying to Phoenix from LA. This was, I don't know, a million years ago. And in the back of the plane were all these German-speaking children. I mean, 16 to 19 years old. And I'm like, and they're all talking about airplanes. And I'm like, what are you guys, why are you going to Phoenix? And why are you all German? I mean, I was surrounded by 40 kids. And
it's a lot of kids.
It's a lot of kids. And so what I found out in talking to these kids is that they were high school students in Germany where Lufthansa would come in and give them aptitude tests. And then those that had the aptitude for being a pilot, they would pull after they graduated and say, we want to send you to America to learn how to fly. And we're going to train you, and we're going to pay for all your training, and then we're going to employ you, and you have to stay with us to pay off that training for a minimum of 5 years. So here, you get to live in America for 2 years to learn how to fly. You go back to Germany, you get trained on the jets that they use at Lufthansa, typically Airbuses and Boeings, and then you start flying jets by the time you're 25.
Damn.
Yeah. Crazy.
Insane.
And then you just work for Lufthansa for a few years, and then you're out. Once you've paid off the debt, you are employable around the world. So we want to kind of do something in a similar way where you're going to come in, we're going to cover your costs of training, and then you're going to work for us for a period of time, which allows you to build your skill set, and then you can leave or you can stay, and you have this amazing skill set that's not going to get replaced by AI, that's not going to go out of fashion. People say, "Oh, watchmaking's a dying art." It's only dying because nobody knows what the demand is. The demand is massive. If you're going from 24 billion to 34 billion in less than 7 years, and you have 10 watchmakers retiring for every one that enters the market, that's not a bad industry to go into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty good industry.
Yeah. And if you like working with your hands, but you don't want to be using like hammers and, big power tools and everything, you want to use small tools. You don't want to come home all greasy and dirty from the skilled trade that you like to work, mechanics, plumbers, all of those things. They're hard jobs. But if you want to still use your hands and you want to hyper focus on something that you can build right there and put your AirPods in and just like listen to music and knock it out, then yeah, your watchmaking is not going to be a bad career choice for you.
I like it. I like it a lot. A couple more questions, and I think we're gonna. I could do this forever. But do you ever add a male's watch?
Of course, all of them are made for men.
Because it's a watch. It's unisex.
It's a watch. Yeah. A watch is a man's watch on a man's wrist and a woman's watch on a woman's wrist. We market
really
to women because we market to women because they're left out of the game. So
watches are unisex, duh.
I mean, last I checked, watches don't have those kind of parts. I
don't think so.
I don't think so.
I mean, you're wearing them.
Yeah, no.
I guess. How cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We have a ton of guys.
It's such a good point.
Do you know the actor Julio Macias?
I'd have to see a face. I'm not good at names.
He wore his Abingdon watch at the Jurassic Park red carpet event. And Kim Estes, he's an Emmy award-winning actor as well. He wears it. The Ochoa boys, one of the brothers, they wear an Abingdon watch. There's a lot of guys who wear Abingdon watches. Most watch companies are about 90% male customer base, 10% female. We're just the opposite.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're just 90% women, 10% men.
Sure. Mm-hmm. How cool. Mm-hmm. What is your next event outside of Hong Kong? Where can people find you next? Where do you want the company to go? We're growing. We're adding the school. Mm-hmm. When is the school open? Damn, I'm going to start having more conversation. I really got to so
that'll be episode 2.
That'll be episode 2. We're going to have to have you on. Yeah. When do you think the school will open? Do you have an expected time range?
I'm shopping buildings on Friday.
Okay.
So I just talked to my commercial real estate agent earlier today. She has lined up for us 6 buildings. And I've got my business partners flying in from New York on Wednesday. And so on Friday, we're just hitting the ground running and we're going to scope out everything to see, okay, how would the build out look? Will this building work? Will that building work? So we're still in early stages right now. We need to settle on a building. We already know how much the manufacturing costs, like what machines do we need, how many benches, all of that kind of thing. But we are looking for investors. The SBA is all over this. They want to put everything into it. My bank, Washington Federal, they're like, when you know what the dollar amount is, you let us know because we're in. So everybody is very much in for this idea. So I'm hoping that we can have our first cohort of 20 students starting January 2027. Yeah. Yeah.
We're February. Where are we?
February 2020. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So less than a year.
You're going to be rocking and moving.
Oh my gosh. You have no idea. Yeah.
Holy
totally.
shit.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be good. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Where can people find your watches? Where can they buy them?
Abingdonco.com. You can buy them at Macy's. If you're military, definitely use your military discount. Shopmyexchange.gov or .gov.com. If you're military, you know what the site is. We have, there's so many retailers who carry the brand. Just search Abingdon watches. Or if you don't know, I'll spell it to you like a pilot. So Alpha, Bravo, India, November, Golf, Delta, Oscar, November. So Abingdon. And then I would say Macy's is probably one of the easiest ways because they're everywhere. But online, on the website, or if you see us at an event, we're about to go to the Women in Aviation Conference in Dallas in March. So we'll be there. And if you follow us on social media, we always announce where we're going to be. So, yeah, lots of places.
You also have a store located
Vegas.
here.
Yeah, I was just going to say, our new store in Vegas. So we just opened in November. It's appointment only, so you do have to go to our site and you can click to book. But we block off an hour for you, and we'll get, the store is yours for an hour.
That sounds kind of fun.
It's pretty fun.
I wish you would have brought some boxes. I would have see some boxes, put them out there for people to see, especially the old box. I'm still thinking about it. Like, oh my God, how fun. And then you can see the evolution. Next episode, we'll talk about it. Or people can just go to the store.
Hey, let's do that. Yeah, that would be great.
Just do that. Yeah. Last thing, if you had an entrepreneur or a female or male, a piece of advice would you like to give them?
Act as though it were impossible to fail. That's my number one piece. If you just act like it's not going to fail, then chances are you're going to succeed in some way. It might not be the way you expected, but it will be success in some way. So just go with that attitude.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Love you. Bye.